What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for the weekly sports card market update. May 7th edition. We are creeping on 3 years, the 3-year anniversary of the YouTube channel. I believe it is May 18th. Got to double check that, but it's right around May 18th. Will be 3 years on the old YouTube. What a wild journey that has been. Not sure what the plans are. We'll probably go live that night. That's typically what we do. Just do a little bit of a live stream. Maybe do like a little AMA or something. I don't know. Just about content creation or just doing YouTube or you're thinking about doing it or any of that stuff. Usually around the 3-year anniversary, I like to do little peeks behind the curtain. But we'll see. We'll definitely do a live stream or something that week. I got to see what day it falls on. I think it's a Thursday from what I remember looking at it. But we are creeping on 3 years. It will be here before you know it. I think I started the weekly sports card market update. I think it was about a month into the channel's life, 2 months into the channel's life. Might have been a month. I should look back at that as well because the 3-year anniversary of the weekly sports card market update is coming up very quickly. I have been doing this show for close to 3 years, the weekly sports card market update. Every Sunday, with the exception of a couple. Sometimes it's moved to Mondays or, gotten a little squirrely around the national and stuff. But yeah, wild ride. It really has been a wild ride over the last 3 years. I don't want to get too reminiscent here. That's not the purpose of this episode, but my mind has now just started wandering places thinking about it. So we're also, and I haven't asked for this in I can't tell you the last time I said like, comment, and subscribe on a video anymore, but we are creeping on 14,000. We're about 100 away. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I'll throw the shameless plug in right here. Go ahead, smack the subscribe button, come along for the ride. Clearly, you either like to watch or you hate watch or something because you clicked on the thumbnail. So if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Let's see if we can get that over 14K. Nice big round number for the 3-year anniversary of the channel. Let's go ahead and dive in. Wasted enough time at the top. We got a lot of news to talk about and some charts and graphs. First up, 2 big stories of the week. We'll save the spicier one for second. This one actually probably has more long-term ramifications. Well, I don't know. Actually, they both kind of do, now that I think about it. But Fanatics Live, they have launched, I shouldn't say launched, they have created their social platforms. There's an IG and a Twitter handle now for Fanatics Live, and the application process is now open. I did click on it. I did sign up for the beta. I don't know if I'll get in or not. I did click on the application process just to kind of see what information they were looking for. To be quite honest, it was just very high level, basic stuff. Here's where we sit with this. Whatnot is the elephant in the room, and they have sprung leaks all over the place, in my opinion, with just the PR side of things. How they've kind of bungled this thing over the last couple months with all the different issues that they've had. People not getting hits, stuff comes out about these guys. And I'm not, when I say these guys, I just mean like platform sellers in general. I'm not talking about anyone specifically. Then they end up getting pulled off the there's just so much drama around Whatnot all the time. Now, they have a big marketing budget. They do a lot of spending challenges with other content creators and influencers, and they definitely have the eyeballs of the market. But Fanatics Live is coming, and they will most likely be a force to be reckoned with, potentially, just because simply they control the product. So they can do a lot of different things in regards to how they navigate the product getting in breakers' hands. If you are an authorized Fanatics Live dealer, maybe exclusive to their platform, maybe you get a direct Fanatics account and you could purchase wax cheaper or at a discount or get it sooner or whatever the case might be. They can do some things behind the scenes to ease that process along. That means you'll be able to offer a cheaper price in breaks or on product to your customers. And eventually people will migrate over from Whatnot. And I'm not a Whatnot user. It is what it is. Live selling platforms to me just don't blow my skirt up. If I want to buy something, I just want to log on and buy it. I've had this $100 loop credit, and I can't figure out what the hell to do with it. I was trying to buy into some Bowman breaks, but they weren't filling, and it was just, then you don't know when they're really going to go live. It was just a whole thing. It's just me being old man, get off my lawn. But it's fine. The Fanatics Live is coming, and the keys here are going to be, I don't even know how much it is that they vet their sellers. I think initially they're going to want named people on there to bring their audiences with them and to potentially sign exclusive contracts. No inside information on this. This is just me speculating on how I'd want to run this platform to get eyeballs over there. What is really going to matter is how they handle these situations when something goes sideways, because something is going to go sideways. That's why I'm not like, as much as I think they need to vet people, that's not the end all be all. It's how you handle it when something goes wrong, because things are going to go wrong. You know, you're vetting a person to bring on there, but then they may hire someone else, and then that person screws up. So that slipped through the vetting process. There's always going to be stuff like that happens. I think they need clear, concise rules and guidelines on here's what happens. You know, there needs to be some type of report button in the app that if something goes squirrely or doesn't look right, you know, you hit it and maybe it records sends a 2-minute clip of the previous 2 minutes or something like that to the Fanatics review committee for them to look at, or, you know, what flags the video, and then they have the ability to go back and look at this stuff to see what went wrong. There could be some documentation that goes along with it. Hey, the breaker took the card off the table, or you could clearly see there was a corner of a downtown in this, and then all of a sudden it was gone, or a Brandon Cooks the 99 situation, whatever, you know, whatever the case might be. There needs to be a way to document that stuff, report it, and then they need a clear, in my opinion anyways, once again, live selling is not in my wheelhouse. They need a clear set of guidelines, both as buyers and sellers. Hey, these are the things that you need to do. If you do not meet these, here are the repercussions. If you do this, you get multiple strikes. If it is a situation that escalates to something worse, maybe it's you get 1 strike. And if it's something super crazy, maybe it's 0 tolerance. You're just gone. On the flip side, buyers should be held accountable as well. You know, I've heard stories from breakers that I do talk to about buyers doing chargebacks because they didn't hit anything, or they got pissed because they whiffed, or whatever the case might be. Listen, if you're going to buy into a break, that's the risk that you take. People like that should also be removed from the platform. You know, don't get me wrong, sellers, the breakers themselves catch a lot of heat on these platforms, and justifiably so. But the buyers aren't always perfect either. So I think there needs to be some mechanisms in place for people that file chargebacks and things like that on that side of things. And I think early on, this will probably be a little bit more restrictive. It's probably going to be a little bit trickier to get on there. We'll have to see how all that works. You know, and like I said, if you reach a certain level, do you get like Fanatics Direct? If you're selling so much per month, then, you know, that could kind of play into things as well. I have no idea if that's how it's going to work. Once again, I'm just kind of speculating there, but you would think that's how they would want this to go. Now, initially, this is going to be sports cards only, but they have left it wide open for other things. I know comic books do pretty well on Whatnot. Obviously, Funko Pops do extremely well on Whatnot. That was kind of what that platform was built on the back of. But sports cards will be its first things out of the gate, which makes sense. I personally, which I don't know if they would do this, I don't think that they will, I would love to see them ban repack products and some of the other more game style stuff. I've just never been a big fan of a lot of that nonsense that goes on a lot of the different live selling platform rooms that really feels like you're flirting with a backdoor way into a casino more so than breaking already is. I just don't know if I want that stuff on there. I think it leads to a more sketchy element potentially weaseling its way in there. But if it was me, I would ban repacks. I've never been a big fan of repack products. I freaking hate them. I don't care how good yours is. I don't want to see it. I don't want anything to do with it. I've had plenty of repack products approach me in the past to either do reviews. Hey, we'll send you one. Or hey, you want to do some advertising for one? And I'm just like, nah, I'm good. But Fanatics Live is coming. The Evil Empire continues to arm itself, expand the fleet, if you will. And we will see what this brings. We will see what this brings with it. Once again, I am not really the biggest fan of live selling. And my recent foray into the Loop app to try to spend this credit has kind of backed that up on. I forgot some of the reasons why I don't really like this medium. I get why people do. It's just not for me. I'm just impatient. I just want to go on. I want to click buy it now or place a bid on an auction and be done with it. I don't want to sit there and wait and watch. It's just, I don't know, just the way that I'm wired. Once again, probably just old man Rob yelling in the front door for the kids to get off of his lawn. With their fancy live streaming apps. But Fanatics Live is coming. So that was the first big thing. Up next, probably the biggest story of the week, the Evan Mathis and the continuation of the card trimming debate that has kind of raged on this week. It's the thing that everyone is talking about. You know, I did some videos on it earlier in the week. Plenty of the other content creators, you know, Dan the Card Man did a bunch of stuff, Sports Card, AI, everyone's been talking about card trimming. But really, Sports Card Nonsense Podcast kind of knocked it out of the park this week with the actually having Evan Mathis on himself to kind of talk through it. It was interesting to hear him and Gio go back and forth in a fairly civil debate, in all honesty. If you haven't and you're remotely interested in this, I'm not going to rehash it here. But I would recommend going back and listening to that. It's probably about a good 30 to 40 minutes long, and it's 100% worth listening to. He makes a compelling case for his side. I don't agree with it. Once again, I don't agree with card trimming. There is some interesting lines to be drawn, on the card cleaning debate. That is probably a topic for its own standalone video versus bogging this one down. To me, the interesting takeaway here is, and it kind of goes back to what I talked about in my video earlier this week and the title of that video is something like, do we really want to know how many cards, if our cards are trimmed? And Evan kind of paints a picture of, you probably don't, because it would probably be the house of cards collapsing. Now, on the doom and gloom side of things, is it really that bad? We don't really know. And even he's kind of flip-flops on, there's tons of these out there there's really not that many out there. Once again, I would highly encourage you listening to it. But that was kind of my big takeaway of how big of a house of cards is all of this built on, especially the older PSA slabs. One of the things that he really dives into, and another part that I found extremely interesting, was kind of the old PSA standards versus the new PSA standards, with how it was basically easier to get this stuff through kind of back in the day. Now Nat's kind of banned a lot of those people, but you can still kind of get things through on group submitters. The one he gave SGC a really nice shout out in regards to their consistency and quality. Kind of he didn't come out and say this, but basically kind of made it sound like that's probably not where you want to send your trimmed cards to. They're more likely to get caught. Once again, not his words there, but just the way that he was kind of praising them, you could kind of read into it a little bit, as he liked to use the phrase context clues. So I'm sure this is kind of one of those topics where you beat the dead horse for 2 weeks, and then honestly, everything's probably just going to go back to normal. Everyone will kind of forget about it. People won't really care about it anymore. They won't really talk about it as much anymore. It'll pop its head up every now and again. And then in 6-8 months, a year, whatever the case might be, something will happen. Something will be discovered to be trimmed. He'll do another video. Someone else will do something. And then you kind of rehash this stuff all again. We went through something very similar to this a few months ago, probably more than a few months ago now. I think it was, I don't even remember when it was, when the whole card cleaning debate thing kind of, made its rounds again. This kind of feels like one of those things where something triggers it. Everyone gets outraged about it. And then a week later, everyone's like, oh, yeah, that card trimming stuff, whatever. A lot of people say that the hobby has a very short memory in things. And as long as the cash keeps rolling in, people forget real quick. But would 1000% recommend going to check out the Sports Card Nonsense interview with Evan, get the first-hand account from him. And once again, card trimming is bad. You should not do it. But we also probably don't really want to know about it. Next up, let's go ahead and dive into some charts and graphs. Market Movers, link in the description down below. They are rolling out a new promotion. You could try Market Movers first 14 days for free. And then after the 14 days, if you decide to sign up, you can get a percentage off your subscription if you decide you want to give it a go. But if you want to try it, you've been hesitant, 14-day free trial. You don't like it, cancel it. If you like it, cool. As I always like to say, the best way is to try it. The product is not for everybody. It is not for everyone. First up, baseball. We're going to run through baseball and basketball primarily today. A lot of stuff has really been creeping down as we see, once again, we talked about it in the run-up to the season. Expectations meet reality. And reality is kicking in on some players, good and bad. First up to bat, Juan Soto, no pun intended. Obviously, super hyped. One of the most hyped players in baseball. I like him. I think he's very talented. Off to a very slow start to the season, as he does do this very typically. We'll see if he cranks things up later in the summer. But his card prices have been getting hammered. This is over the last 60 days. That takes us back to early March. So kind of shows us how things went throughout spring training and then into the season so far. And you see a lot of red and a lot of big percentage drops there. At the top, 2016 first Bowman auto PSA 10. I watched this auction end $2,000, $2,000. And then I saw a BGS 9.5 end shortly after that. I think it was the day after for around, I think it was like 12, 13, 1400 bucks. It ended really low as well. So his first Bowman auto is taking an absolute hammering. Might be time to sneak into a PSA 9 on one of those. I'm going to have to keep my eyes peeled and see if maybe I could back into one of those. I still think he's really talented. I still think he's good. We'll see what happens as the season plays itself out. Hands on Hips, SP Variation. Very popular card, down 45% since the spring. The Rainbow Foil, down to $340 since the spring. I paid low 400s for mine at the Philly Card Show. I think I still have that card. And the pink Juan Soto refractors, the channel staple for a long time there. I owned a couple of these about a year or two ago. I haven't owned any for about a year plus, actually probably longer than that. Those have crept down to just under $400. That's a 32% drop on those. So if you believe in Soto, start watching some auctions. There could be a little bit of a buying opportunity here if he is someone that you believe in. Next up, Acuna. Off to a very strong start. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to pull this. He's having a really good year. He's looked really good. Playing absolutely great baseball right now. And his prices are down as well. Now, his first Bowman has held up pretty well. Same time period, 60 days. This is a BGS 9.5. It had more sales than the PSA 10 did. So I went with this one just because it had more recent sales. PSA 10 one hadn't sold for a couple of weeks, and I wanted something that was current, and the BGS on first Bowmans are perfectly fine to use. That card's basically flat, down 2%. Not a huge swing one way or the other. His rookie auto, 2018 Topps Chrome, PSA 10, down 20% from 1,000 to 750, basically. And then his refractor, just a base PSA 10 refractor, nothing crazy. Just kind of wanted to show all the different price point levels here. Was it around $200 before the season started, down to around $170, about a 15 to 20% drop, kind of depending on where you bought in on that one. So even someone like Acuna, who's having a really strong start to the year, is dipping. And then you go back and look at the Soto stuff, who's having a terrible start to the year, is getting hammered. hammered. A guy not dipping, Ohtani. His stuff just continues to climb. This is a bunch of his different 2018 refractors. This is his pitching Topps Chrome refractor, his rookie debut pink from Update. I always like this one because it's one of his few rookie cards where he's batting. In a PSA 10, I passed on one of these at Philly, and that was a mistake. PSA 10 Prism refractor and a PSA 10 pink refractor as well. And with Ohtani, what do we see? A lot of green. Green all over the place. Same time frame, same 60-day time frame. 20% on his base refractor, 30% on the pink hitting refractor, 15% on the Prism, and 45% on the pink pitching refractor. So very strong Ohtani sales across the board. He continues to be the hottest thing ever. He was getting a lot of buzz in spring training already. Then the WBC happened and just sent him right to the moon on a rocket ship. I mean, like I said, he was already getting a lot of buzz, and then WBC really ignited him, and he is having an amazing start to the season as well. He has been pitching fantastic and hitting pretty decent. The Angels are still the Angels, but Ohtani is just on an absolute another level. I think it would take a season-ending injury for his prices to cool. Obviously, they're not going to keep climbing 20%, every 60 days. That's just unrealistic. Even last year, as hot as he was, leading up to the All-Star break, he eventually ended up cooling off. At some point in time, he will flatten or level out or even pull back if he struggles at all. But Ohtani continues to be probably the hottest name across the entire hobby, regardless of sport, almost. It's absolutely insane. And honestly, justifiably so. What the guy does is absolutely wild. Next up, another one absolutely struggling. And another one where the expectations were sky high. And even if he remotely met them, would have pulled back, and he has struggled to start the season. That is one Mr. Julio Rodriguez. We see his PSA 10 first Bowman refractor auto down 30% over the last 60 days. His base PSA 10 down 30% over the last 60 days. And then for the refractor side, his stuff gets so squirrely because he's got so many different SPs and different sets and all this other nonsense with him. I just looked at the Sapphires. His Topps Update Sapphire, which is the same image as his Topps Update Rookie, is down 46%. And his Topps Chrome Sapphire, just the base PSA 10, about the same pop on those, down 20%. Now, a lot of that stuff still coming back from grading, not so much on those, but just in general. The Bowman's, that is not the case. J-Rod's prices continue to get hammered as he gets the slow start to the season. I have him on a lot of fantasy baseball teams and a lot of the best ball leagues that I did. I have him on my NFBC team. The struggle has been real so far with him. He's playing okay. It's not like he's like absolute garbage, but he's just been fine, like mediocre to fine. And that is not enough to support this lofty expectations that the hobby has placed upon him. So he's going to need a hot streak to see a little bit of a rebound, but we'll see where he bottoms out. Same with him and Soto. Are you buying the dip on these guys as their prices fall? Where are you willing to sneak in at? Do you have certain cards that you're looking for of a J-Rod, a Soto, any of these other guys that are struggling to start the season? Or are you hands off the merchandise? I'll let someone else deal with that. I got other things going on. I am a little intrigued, especially by Soto, but I am a sucker for Soto's stuff. I was going to dig into some basketball stuff, but to be quite honest, we are running a little bit long with the newsy stuff at the top. So maybe we will do a separate video on Ultra Modern NBA this week. Worst case, I'll just cover it next week. Long and the short of it, a lot of guys are coming way down in price. Specifically, one Mr. Luka, Ja, and Zion are getting very, very cheap in prices. They hit some interesting thresholds, some big round numbers. All three of those guys are creeping towards. But like I said, maybe we'll save that for a video later this week. Because I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive on that anyway. And I don't want to shortchange it here. So maybe we'll save that. Speaking of this upcoming week, we'll tack on maybe potentially that basketball video. I got another video idea in my head that kind of spurred out of the video I did on Friday about, let's not forget that this whole thing is fun. There was an interesting trend in the comments on that video, and it kind of ignited me to think of a different way to not spin it, but another take, another thought that I kind of had at the hobby at large. And that generally was, there was a theme, not all the comments, but a theme in the comments about money has ruined the hobby. And I kind of want to talk about that in its own fully flushed out little, sit down and chat for 10 or 15 minutes style video. So that'll be out sometime this week. We'll maybe dig into some NBA numbers this week. I would like to do another live stream this week for another box opening, this time of Marvel cards. There is a Rob Liefeld signing coming up with CGC, and I ordered a box of X-Force cards. So it would make the boringest ever video to just open them and post them because there's a billion packs in there. But I think it would be fun to go live and just kind of hang out with you guys all in chat. I hope you guys enjoyed the Bowman video, the live stream I did on Saturday with that. I have prospect cards everywhere that I am still sorting through. So that is all I have for you boys and girls today. We will catch you on the next one. Everyone have a fantastic week. Peace.